My name is Taylor. I'm 37 years old. I started my own company when I was 31. Business has been going well, and I have around 20 employees now. It's a friendly and fun workplace. I'd like to tell you about the ups and downs of my life before starting this company. I got married at 27 and had a child at 29. When I was single, I worked as a web designer for a company. I didn't really have a strong desire to get married, but I was set up on a blind date with a guy through my family acquaintance. Leo was the same age as me and worked as a salesperson for a big company. He came on strong right from the beginning and proposed before long. I ended up quitting my job and becoming a homemaker as he wanted, but it didn't take me long to realize his true nature. First of all, he couldn't detach from his parents. Later, I found out that our marriage was primarily to please them, and anyone would be okay as long as it made them happy. So he often went to see them on weekends, leaving me alone at home. On top of that, he was pretty self-centered. He was raised as an only child and was spoiled by them. I had to prepare a fresh towel in advance when he took a shower, and if I ever forgot, he got extremely angry. In the morning, I had to lay out his suit and everything he needed on the bed. Dinner had to have at least 5 different vegetables, and frozen food or pre-made dishes were a big no-no. Not only that, but I always had to keep the entire house in an immaculate state. I had to vacuum and mop every morning and evening. Of course, he never lifted a finger to help with any of this. Despite that, I tried my best because I was his wife. Soon after, I became pregnant. Both families were overjoyed, and I hoped that this would be the catalyst for him to change a bit. I was completely wrong. When I had morning sickness and couldn't do housework as usual, he got furious and berated me for not being able to do what everyone else could. As I did my best with chores with my growing belly, he just played games on his phone. Not only was there never a sign of him wanting to help, but he seems to have no awareness of becoming a father. I gave birth to a baby girl named Eva. My expectations were in vain, and his selfishness grew even worse after the birth. When I returned home from the hospital, I was greeted with a huge pile of dishes. He hadn't done any housework at all while I was out. I had to juggle taking care of the newborn while straightening up the house for a while. As usual, he never showed any gesture of appreciation whatsoever. On the contrary, he said that I should have been able to finish something as basic as that in no time. Furthermore, he mocked me about my post-pregnancy weight gain.
You are fuller. You look like a meatball. Hey, meatball, answer me.
He looked at me with a contemptuous gaze. According to my doctor, my weight gain was entirely within the standard range. I had planned to start a diet at some point, but this really got on my nerve. He wouldn't help with housework and looked down on me after giving birth. Cut it out! When I finally yelled at him, he angrily stood up, knocking over his chair.
Who the heck are you talking to? I'm the breadwinner here. You, as my wife, should just do as I say. Besides, anyone can handle housework. Don't act so high and mighty.
I was so furious that I couldn't even respond. From then on, he constantly made fun of my appearance.
Hey, meatball, is dinner ready? Oh, here comes a sumo wrestler. Do you even know what losing weight means?
He mocked me as he pleased. I had to endure it, because if I said anything back, I thought that chairs might start flying like in a wrestling brawl. Above all, I had to protect Eva. He didn't help with housework or childcare at all. Taking care of the crying baby, changing diapers, and doing household chores all at once was tough. I went through each day with no makeup and wearing just the glasses, looking completely worn out. I had no time for anything. There were even days when I could only go to the bathroom once in the morning. Still, I encouraged myself, thinking that this was what being a mother meant. One day, while Leo was criticizing my appearance as usual, he suddenly brought up divorce.
You've become a mess ever since you had Eva. Let's get a divorce. I like the younger girl from the office now. By the way, Eva looks just like you, chubby like a meatball.
What did you just say? I couldn't believe my ears.
You've been overweight for a long time. I can't take it anymore. I like slender women. Pack your stuff and get out ASAP.
His argument was completely absurd. What nonsense are you talking about? I can't do that. Confused, I immediately contacted his parents. Leo wants a divorce because I had a child and lost my looks. Can you please put some sense into him? Contrary to my frantic state, my in-laws remained indifferent. If he says so, it must be true. It's evidence that you haven't made enough effort. What have you been doing? You shouldn't upset my son. I had no choice but to despair.
Get out already! I have no interest in someone who's given up being a woman.
How are Eva and I supposed to live from now on?
I don't care. You should learn to stand on your own feet. Bye-bye, meatball mom and baby.
I had reached my limit with his repeated insults. That very day, I decided to live with Eva. I didn't cry. To be precise, I couldn't even cry. I was rather outraged by him, who had insulted not only me, but also our own daughter. With nowhere else to go, I turned to my parents for help. They had my younger brother and his wife living with them, and they had a baby of their own, roughly the same age as Eva. I thought it would be a burden for them if we moved in, but I had no other option. When I asked if we could stay for a while, both my parents and my brother's family warmly welcomed us. I shared the whole story with them and mentioned my marriage was over. They encouraged me to stay as long as I needed. That was when I finally shed tears. I couldn't stop crying, feeling their warm support. Then my brother's wife Emma made a suggestion. You would probably need a lawyer now. I used to work as a secretary at a law firm before I got married. A friend of mine still works there, so I can introduce you. Thanks to her, I met a competent lawyer a few days later. Sophia was in her early 40s with her own divorce experience, and she was very empathetic and helpful during our consultations. We had several rounds of divorce negotiations, but we couldn't reach an agreement easily. Leo refused to pay child support. Sophia, after a brief preamble about wanting to tell me her personal opinion, said, Your husband is arguing that you've neglected your duties as a woman and prioritized the child. He's like a selfish child in a man's body. He married you to please his parents, and controlling you is the goal of his marriage. I don't want to discourage you from pursuing child support, but I also think it might be best to completely sever ties now. Both he and his parents are unreasonable people. Instead of dealing with them, I think looking toward the future is more constructive. She spoke seriously, and something inside me snapped. The reasons for divorce were so flimsy. The insult he hurled at Eva at the brink of separation was too much. Dealing with him any longer was unbearable. I wanted to be free from him as soon as possible. I made up my mind. I was determined to raise Eva on my own and find happiness beyond this point. From now on, you need to work hard to support your daughter. Are you really ready? I sure am, I replied firmly, making a commitment to face the future head-on. When the divorce was filed, I resumed my work as a freelance web designer. Fortunately, it was a popular field, and I started getting steady work even as a freelancer. I worked tirelessly, designing day and night, and juggling nursing and childcare along the way. As a freelancer, I launched a website and made full use of social media, like X and Instagram for marketing. As a result of my efforts, I was able to earn roughly the same income as Leo in about a year. Moreover, I won an excellent award in a web design contest, which brought in even more work. Then, I started my own design company. During the times when I couldn't manage everything on my own, Emma helped as a secretary. I also had the assistance of part-time employees, allowing the company to run smoothly. As the business grew, I realized the need for sales efforts. So my brother, who had previously worked for a major advertising agency, quit his job and became the sales manager. With his natural business acumen, he built on the social media-focused marketing I had been doing and expanded into advertising using traditional media. The performance soared in no time. As my company gained recognition, I started paying more attention to my appearance. At the time of the separation, I was always struggling, with no makeup and just wearing glasses, while my determination remained the same. Being in the position of a CEO meant I couldn't help but be conscious of the perception of my employees and clients. So I graduated from the plain look, invested in branded suits and bags, got a neat professional hairstyle, and kept my makeup subtle enough not to appear overbearing. I realized that my confidence and pride as a business owner were reflected in my appearance. One day after work, I went to a restaurant in Chelsea with Emma. It had a great atmosphere and was one of my favorites. The staff were friendly and always recommended the daily specials, so choosing a dish was easy. Above all, despite being an upscale restaurant, it didn't have a snobbish atmosphere, which I liked. While we were chatting at our table, I noticed a familiar face approaching. It was Leo.
You seem to be doing well.
He brought water to our table, wearing a big smile on his face. He was working as a waiter at this restaurant. He acted over-friendly, unlike a typical waiter, and the arrogance he had before our divorce flashed through my mind, making me feel nauseated. "Oh, it's you. You seem to be doing fine too," I responded with a smile. After our divorce, I had heard through the grapevine that he had lost his job due to his relationships with female colleagues. I hadn't heard much about his whereabouts since then, but my relatives who frequented this restaurant recently informed me that he had started working as a waiter there. Emma and I had come there out of curiosity, pretending not to know anything.
You're looking great.
His attitude, as if he had forgotten the way he had ridiculed me in the past, immediately put me in battle mode. "You're annoying. Get out of my sight."
Come on, don't be so cold. You're running your own business, right? I was surprised to see an article in the magazine. Let me work for you, huh?
I couldn't believe his audacity. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about.
Oh, come on. We used to be married, you know. How about giving it another try?
Quit joking around. Go away. You're ruining my dinner. I made a shooing gesture with my hand. Immediately, he started fuming.
How dare you give me an attitude?
The one without the right attitude here is you. I'm a customer.
What the heck? A woman like you acting all high and mighty. It pisses me off. Don't forget you used to live off me.
He has been divorced by me and fired from his job, but showed absolutely no remorse. It was amazing how people like him existed in the world. Amidst the heated exchange, I remained strangely calm. Then, the owner of the restaurant appeared. "What seems to be the matter, ma'am?" Charlotte and I had been friends since the restaurant opened. We had known each other since her early days as a waitress, and we shared a strong bond as business owners. I heard our waiter here raising his voice. "Is there any trouble?" she asked with a concerned expression. He has been making baseless accusations against me. Can you please do something? As soon as I finished my sentence, she glared at Leo. Why are you causing trouble?
She and I are married, and she started a new company, so I asked her for a job. But then, she suddenly got mad, and...
Let's clarify first that we are not married anymore. He insulted me and our daughter, and we divorced. We are strangers now. And yet, he's directing this kind of behavior at a customer. I could see that Charlotte's face was turning as red as a lobster.
She's got a big mouth for a woman.
His excuse made absolutely no sense. What? For a woman? I'm a woman too, you know. Her anger had finally reached its peak.
Oh no, I mean, you're different, not a woman. I mean, not like that.
What are you saying? I absolutely despise people who discriminate based on gender the most. We don't need someone like you in our restaurant. You are fired. Get out. Her anger voice echoed through the restaurant.
Oh no, I apologize. I'm really sorry. I have nowhere to go if I get fired from here. Please spare me.
He pleaded with the owner with a pitiful expression. You should learn to stand on your own feet. I smiled at him. He was dragged away by security, wailing, and was kicked out of the restaurant. According to Charlotte, he had been hopping from one job to another after he was fired from his previous job. She pitied him and hired him as a waiter, but he ended up repaying that kindness in this manner. Truly a case of getting what he deserved. I've never seen someone fit the phrase, "You reap what you sow," so perfectly. Afterward, my company continued to do well. What's more, I will be graduating from being single soon. I met another entrepreneur with a divorce history at a cross-industry networking event. Fellow souls with similar scars, we quickly became good friends. I have a daughter, and he's alone. We took our time to strengthen our bonds with Eva and our families. We decided to start a new family together by next spring. My new partner is loving and kind for a change. Leo, on the other hand, according to the investigation of my competent secretary Emma, he remains unemployed and single after being kicked out of that restaurant. Despite how much he used to make fun of my appearance, he now seems to be displaying a grotesque example of middle-aged flat. Fate and the passage of time can be cruel. My life has been like a roller coaster ride. I got married, had a child, got divorced, started working, and established a company. I've learned the meaning of you reap what you sow all too well. If there is someone out there feeling like they're in the middle of a dark tunnel with no end in sight, I want to say this. There is always an exit. There is no night without a dawning. By the way, the lawyer who supported me through my divorce is now our company's legal advisor.